Your soulmate wants you to know something before you sleep tonight. My beloved child, hold your heartbeat for just a moment, because before this night quietly slips away, there is something that has been trying to reach you, and if you leave too soon, you may never hear it in the same way again. The world becomes strangely honest before sleep. The noise fades. The distractions lose their grip. And in that peaceful space between your final thought and your first dream, something remarkable often begins. Have you ever wondered why certain nights feel different, as though the air itself is carrying a message meant only for you? Tonight is one of those nights. Do not rush past this moment. There is a reason this title found you instead of countless others. Not because of coincidence, but because somewhere inside you, there has been a quiet question that words have never fully answered. Perhaps you have hidden it beneath your routines. Perhaps you smiled while carrying it. Yet it remains there, patiently waiting. And strangely enough, the person your heart continues to think about seems to be standing on the other side of that same invisible question. Imagine this for a second. What if they could sit beside you right now without saying a single ordinary sentence? What if, instead of explaining everything at once, they simply asked you to stop doubting what your own heart has already noticed? Sometimes the deepest connections never begin with loud declarations. They begin with a feeling that refuses to disappear, no matter how much time passes. Stay a little longer. Because the message unfolding tonight is not about chasing someone. It is about recognizing what has quietly been growing beneath the surface while life kept moving forward. Every unexpected delay, every lesson, every season that seemed confusing, may have been arranging pieces of a story that neither of you could see while living through it. Think carefully. Why do certain memories return just before sleep? Why do some faces appear in your thoughts without effort? Why do moments you believed were finished suddenly feel unfinished again? Perhaps your mind is not pulling you backward. Perhaps it is preparing you to understand something you were not ready to understand before. Your soulmate, if they could speak from the deepest part of their heart tonight, would not begin with grand promises. They would begin with something much simpler. I hope you have not forgotten how valuable you are. Because every meaningful connection is built upon one truth. The moment you stop seeing your own worth, every beautiful possibility starts looking impossible. And they would never want that for you. But there is another layer. One that almost nobody notices. Sometimes we become so focused on wondering whether someone is thinking about us that we forget the more important question. Who are we becoming while we wait? That question changes everything. Because the future does not simply arrive. It quietly responds to the person you are becoming today. Every choice, every act of patience, every quiet improvement, every time you decide hope is stronger than fear, you are shaping a version of yourself that is ready to receive what once seemed impossible. Before you go, hear this line. The message waiting for you tonight is not asking you to stay awake worrying. It is inviting you to rest with confidence. There is incredible strength in ending the day without carrying tomorrow's weight on your shoulders. Picture the stars for a moment. None of them compete with each other. None of them rush across the sky trying to shine first. Each one appears exactly when its moment arrives. Maybe life has been teaching you the same lesson all along. And perhaps your soulmate wishes you could finally believe it. Not every silence means distance. Not every delay means denial. Not every unanswered moment means the story has ended. Sometimes the quiet is simply making room for something far more meaningful than immediate answers. So tonight, before your eyes finally close, leave behind every unnecessary fear that has followed you through the day. Leave behind the endless what-ifs. Leave behind the belief that your future must look exactly the way you imagined it yesterday. Because what if? Just what if? Tomorrow begins with a different perspective than today ended with? And what if the message your soulmate wants you to know before you sleep is not about changing who you are, but finally realizing that the person you have been becoming was always worth waiting for? Now listen carefully, because what comes next is not louder than the first message, it is deeper. Sometimes the most important truth does not arrive with excitement. It arrives with quiet certainty. And if you have stayed with this journey until now, you are exactly where you need to be. There is something your soulmate would want you to stop doing before another night passes. They would ask you to stop measuring your future by your past. Read that again in your heart. How many beautiful possibilities have been hidden simply because yesterday convinced you that tomorrow would look the same? How many opportunities have slipped by because old disappointments whispered that nothing new could happen? Yet life has never followed the rules our fears try to create. Stay with this thought. Imagine your soulmate watching the person you are becoming instead of the mistakes you think define you. They would not be counting your failures. They would notice your resilience. They would not focus on the moments when you felt lost. They would admire the strength it took to keep moving when no one else understood your journey. That is the version of you they hope you can finally see. But here comes the surprising part. Your greatest transformation may not happen through one dramatic event. It may happen through one peaceful decision, the decision to believe that your story is still unfolding. What if everything changes the moment you stop expecting the worst? What if tomorrow opens a door that today never revealed? The future often approaches quietly. Long before the breakthrough becomes visible, small changes begin taking place inside you. Your thoughts become calmer. Your perspective becomes clearer. You begin noticing opportunities that once blended into the background. None of these moments seem extraordinary at first, until one day you realize they have completely changed the direction of your life. Wait till the final moment. Because your soulmate would also tell you this. Please don't rush your own destiny. The strongest foundations are never built overnight. The brightest sunrise never appears all at once. It begins with a faint glow that slowly transforms the entire horizon. Perhaps your life is standing in that very glow right now. Can you feel it? There is a quiet invitation surrounding this moment. It asks you to release comparison. Someone else's timeline is not your timeline. Someone else's chapter is not your chapter. The path meant for you has its own rhythm, its own lessons, its own remarkable timing. And once you stop comparing your journey with everyone else's, you begin to notice how many beautiful things have already been growing in your own life. Before you continue, if this message has brought even a little peace into your evening, you might consider sharing it with someone who needs encouragement, leaving a comment about the hope you're choosing tonight, or subscribing so we can continue this journey together. Sometimes one thoughtful message reaches exactly the heart that has been waiting for it. Now take one more step with me. Close your eyes for just a brief moment and imagine waking tomorrow without carrying yesterday's doubts. Imagine beginning the day with quiet confidence instead of unanswered questions. Imagine trusting that every challenge has also been preparing an unexpected blessing. Doesn't that version of tomorrow feel lighter? That is exactly what your soulmate hopes you carry into your sleep tonight. Not certainty about every detail, but confidence that your path is moving forward, even when you cannot yet see every turn. Because the most extraordinary stories rarely announce themselves in advance. They unfold one faithful step, one peaceful night, one unexpected morning at a time. And before this chapter is over, you may discover that the message you believed was coming from someone else, was also awakening a strength that had been waiting inside you all along. There is one final thought you need to carry with you tonight, and it may be the one that changes how you see every tomorrow from this moment forward. Have you noticed how life sometimes becomes completely silent just before something meaningful begins? It is almost as if the universe pauses, not to delay your story, but to prepare your heart for the next chapter. Many people mistake that silence for emptiness. They assume nothing is happening. Yet beneath the surface, countless unseen moments are quietly aligning. This is why your soulmate wants you to know something before you sleep tonight. They would never want you to confuse waiting with standing still. Every day you choose kindness over bitterness. Every moment you choose hope instead of fear. Every time you keep believing in a brighter tomorrow when it would be easier to give up. You are moving closer to the life you have been quietly preparing for. Think about that for a moment. What if your greatest breakthrough is not arriving because you chased it harder, but because you finally learned to trust the journey? Stay a little longer. There is another truth hidden inside this message. The person meant to walk beside you in life's most meaningful moments would never want your happiness to depend entirely on their presence. They would want you to laugh before they arrive. They would want you to grow before they appear. They would want you to discover your own light so that, when your paths finally cross, neither of you is searching for someone to complete you. Instead, you inspire one another to become even better. That is the difference between a passing connection and a lasting one. One asks you to become less. The other encourages you to become more. Before this day comes to an end, let yourself release every invisible burden you have been carrying. The conversations that never happened. The answers you never received. The moments you wished had unfolded differently. They have already taught you what they needed to teach. Now they can become part of your wisdom instead of your weight. Imagine placing every worry beneath the quiet night sky. Notice how much lighter your heart feels. Perhaps peace was never waiting at the end of your journey. Perhaps it has been walking beside you all along, patiently waiting for you to notice it. And if your soulmate could leave you with one final message before your eyes gently close tonight, it might sound something like this. Please don't lose your beautiful heart while searching for beautiful moments. The future we dream about begins with the person you choose to be today. Keep believing. Keep growing. Keep smiling at the possibilities that haven't introduced themselves yet. I hope that when tomorrow arrives, you wake with more hope than fear, more gratitude than doubt, and more courage than yesterday. Now take one slow breath. The night is no longer asking you to search for every answer. It is inviting you to rest. Because tomorrow does not need a worried version of you. It needs a hopeful one. And who knows? The very next sunrise may reveal opportunities that tonight could only whisper about. So sleep with confidence. Dream with expectation. Wake with purpose. The story isn't ending here. In many ways, it is only just beginning. Before this journey continues, let your thoughts become completely still, because there is one more message your soulmate hopes reaches your heart before another day begins. It is quiet. It is simple. Yet it carries the kind of truth that stays with you long after the words are gone. Have you ever wondered why certain nights feel unforgettable, even though nothing extraordinary seems to happen? It is because transformation often begins in silence. The biggest turning points rarely announce themselves with loud celebrations. They arrive as gentle realizations, a new perspective, a peaceful decision, a small moment where your heart chooses hope instead of hesitation. Your soulmate would want you to remember this. You don't have to become someone else to deserve beautiful things. Read that slowly. The world constantly encourages people to chase perfection, but genuine connection has never been built on perfection. It grows through honesty, kindness, patience, and the courage to keep moving forward even when every answer hasn't appeared yet. Stay with me for another moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow and looking at your future differently. Instead of asking, when will everything happen? You begin asking, how can I become the best version of myself today? That single question changes everything. Because every sunrise becomes an opportunity instead of a countdown. Every challenge becomes preparation instead of punishment. Every delay becomes a lesson instead of a disappointment. And suddenly, the future no longer feels uncertain. It feels exciting. What if this is exactly what your soulmate has been hoping you would discover? Not another prediction. Not another promise. But a mindset that allows you to enjoy the present while confidently walking toward tomorrow. There is something incredibly powerful about someone who refuses to let fear write the next chapter of their life. Become that person. Not because someone is watching. Not because you expect immediate results. But because the life you dream about deserves the strongest, wisest, and most hopeful version of you. Wait until the very end of this thought. Imagine two travelers walking toward the same destination from opposite directions. Neither knows the exact moment they will meet. Yet every step each person takes brings them closer, even if they cannot see one another yet. Sometimes destiny works in exactly the same way. Progress is happening. Even when it feels invisible. If these words have encouraged you tonight, and you know someone else who could use this reminder before they sleep, you can share this message with them. And if you'd like to continue receiving uplifting stories like this, consider leaving a comment about what resonated with you most and subscribing so we can keep walking this journey together. Now, one final thought before this chapter closes. Do not underestimate the quiet nights. Some of the greatest mornings are born from evenings where nothing seemed to change, except your perspective. Tonight, release the need to control every outcome. Release the pressure to have every answer. Release the habit of believing that your best days are somewhere far away. Because perhaps your best chapter has already begun. Not with a dramatic announcement. Not with a sudden miracle. But with a heart that has finally learned to trust the path it is walking. So close your eyes with gratitude. Let peace replace overthinking. Let hope become your final thought before sleep. And remember this. The message your soulmate wanted you to know tonight was never simply about finding the right person. It was about becoming the person who welcomes tomorrow with confidence, kindness, and unwavering hope. The night is growing quiet. The stars remain faithful. And somewhere beyond what you can see today, a beautiful chapter is patiently waiting for its perfect moment to begin. And now, before this story reaches its final destination, there is one last doorway of understanding waiting to be opened. Do not hurry past it. Sometimes the final message is not the loudest one, it is the one that quietly settles into your heart and stays there forever. Take a moment and imagine this. The day is over. The lights have faded. The world has become still. Somewhere, another person is also looking out into the night, wondering if the future holds something beautiful that they cannot yet see. What if hope connects people long before words ever do? What if the strongest connections are built first in character, then in conversation, and finally in shared moments? Your soulmate would want you to remember something that many people forget. The person waiting for you is not expecting perfection. They are hoping to meet someone who never stopped growing. Think about that. Growth is quiet. It happens every time you choose patience over frustration. Every time you forgive instead of carrying old burdens. Every time you smile through uncertainty. Every time you decide that your dreams deserve another chance. Those moments may seem ordinary today. But one day you will look back and realize they were shaping the very person you needed to become. Stay with this message. Because there is another truth hidden beneath the surface. You have spent enough time asking, what if nothing changes? Tonight, replace that question with another. What if everything begins changing the moment I choose a new perspective? One question creates fear. The other creates possibility. And possibility has always been the birthplace of extraordinary stories. Imagine your future self looking back at this very evening. Would they remember it as just another ordinary night? Or would they smile and say, "That was the night I finally stopped doubting what life still had in store for me"? Perhaps this is that night. Perhaps tomorrow does not need you to have every answer. Perhaps it simply needs you to wake up believing that every sunrise carries opportunities invisible to the night before. Before this chapter gently comes to a close, carry these words with you into your dreams. Do not fear the chapters you cannot read yet. Do not rush the pages that are still being written. Do not compare your story with anyone else's. Every meaningful journey has its own rhythm. Every beautiful destination has its own perfect arrival. And every hopeful heart eventually discovers that patience is not empty waiting. It is quiet preparation. So when you close your eyes tonight, leave behind every unnecessary worry. Leave behind the pressure to know exactly how tomorrow will unfold. Replace it with gratitude. Replace it with expectation. Replace it with peaceful confidence. Because your soulmate's final message was never about asking you to search harder. It was about reminding you to live fully, love deeply, grow continuously, and trust that the future has room for wonderful surprises you cannot yet imagine. The night has given you its wisdom. The stars have witnessed your hopes. Now let your heart rest. Tomorrow will arrive with fresh light, fresh opportunities, fresh strength, and perhaps the first quiet step toward a chapter you have been preparing for all along. Until then, sleep peacefully, dream boldly, and wake knowing that every new morning is another chance to become the person your future has been waiting to meet. Now, there is only one more path to walk together before this night's message settles into your heart. Don't let your attention wander yet, because sometimes the greatest realization arrives after you believe you've already heard everything. Pause for a moment. Listen to the silence around you. It is remarkable how peaceful the world becomes when the day finally lets go of its worries. In that quietness, your heart begins to hear what constant noise has been hiding. Perhaps that is why this message found you before sleep instead of during the busiest hours of the day. Your soulmate would want you to remember one beautiful truth. The future is not waiting to test you. It is waiting to welcome the person you are becoming. Read those words again. How different would tomorrow feel if you truly believed them? So many people spend their lives preparing for disappointment. They expect every closed door to remain closed forever. They allow yesterday's fears to decide tomorrow's possibilities. But you are not meant to live that way. You are meant to wake each morning believing that life still has meaningful chapters left to reveal. Stay with me. Because there is one final lesson hidden inside tonight's conversation. Imagine standing before a vast horizon just before sunrise. At first, everything appears dark. It seems as though nothing is changing. Then, almost unnoticed, a single ray of light touches the sky. Moments later, another follows. Soon the entire horizon is glowing. The sunrise did not happen all at once. It unfolded one quiet moment at a time. Your life often follows the same pattern. The opportunities you have been hoping for. The peace you have been searching for. The confidence you have been trying to build. They rarely appear in one dramatic instant. They grow through countless small moments that seem ordinary until one day they become extraordinary. Before you leave this chapter, ask yourself something. Who do you want tomorrow's version of yourself to be? Someone who carries yesterday's doubts? Or someone who walks forward with quiet confidence, even without knowing every detail ahead? That choice belongs to you. And it is made one day. One decision. One hopeful thought at a time. Your soulmate would never ask you to spend your nights worrying about what has not happened yet. Instead, they would gently remind you to treasure what is already within you. Your kindness. Your resilience. Your ability to keep believing after difficult seasons. Your courage to begin again. Those qualities are far more powerful than you realize. Perhaps they are the very reason your future is brighter than your past. Before this message fades into the peaceful rhythm of the night, let gratitude become your final conversation with yourself. Be grateful for the lessons that made you wiser. Be grateful for the people who helped you grow. Be grateful for the dreams that still make your heart smile. And most importantly, be grateful that your story is still being written. No chapter has the power to define the entire book. No difficult season can erase every beautiful page waiting ahead. The night is becoming quieter now. The stars continue shining without asking for attention. The moon keeps moving forward without rushing its journey. Perhaps they are reminding you of something simple. Everything meaningful has its own perfect timing. So close your eyes without fear. Rest without overthinking. Dream without limits. Wake with renewed purpose. Because somewhere beyond tonight's horizon, a future filled with hope is already moving toward you, one peaceful sunrise at a time. And when that day finally arrives, you will look back at this quiet evening and smile. Because you will realize that before you fell asleep tonight, the message your soulmate wanted you to know was never about chasing destiny. It was about becoming ready to recognize it when it gently arrived. Part 7. One last moment. Don't close this chapter just yet, because there is a thought that has been patiently waiting until now. It could have been spoken at the beginning, but your heart may not have been ready to receive it. Some truths only make sense after the journey has unfolded. Take a slow breath. Think back to the person you were before this message began. Then think about the person you are becoming right now. Perhaps nothing around you has changed. The room is the same. The night is the same. The stars above are the same. Yet something inside you feels quieter, steadier, more hopeful than it did a little while ago. That is how meaningful change often begins. Not with fireworks. Not with dramatic announcements. But with a single peaceful realization that refuses to leave your heart. If your soulmate could speak to you one final time before you drift into sleep, they might simply smile and say, "I hope you never stop believing that beautiful things are still finding their way to you." Those words may seem simple. Yet they hold incredible power. Because the future has an amazing way of surprising those who keep their hearts open. Have you noticed that the happiest moments in life are rarely the ones we successfully planned? Sometimes they arrive through an unexpected conversation. Sometimes through a chance meeting. Sometimes through an ordinary day that quietly becomes unforgettable. Perhaps your next chapter is waiting inside one of those ordinary moments. Stay for just a little longer. There is one final picture I want you to imagine. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a calm ocean just before dawn. The waves continue their gentle rhythm. The sky slowly changes from darkness to soft light. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is forcing tomorrow to arrive faster. Everything trusts its perfect timing. Maybe life has been trying to teach you the same lesson. You don't have to force every answer. You don't have to predict every outcome. You don't have to carry every unanswered question into tomorrow. Some blessings find you only after you finally learn how to walk with peace instead of pressure. That is the quiet secret your soulmate hopes you never forget. Your future is not built through fear. It is built through faith in your own growth. Through kindness that remains unchanged even when circumstances change. Through courage that keeps moving forward one step at a time. and through gratitude for the small miracles that often go unnoticed until much later. As this message gently comes to its final words, leave tonight with a promise to yourself. Promise that you will greet tomorrow with hope instead of hesitation. Promise that you will celebrate your progress instead of criticizing your pace. Promise that you will protect your peace, nurture your dreams, and never underestimate the quiet strength that already lives within you. Because one day, when the story of your life reaches a beautiful chapter you cannot yet imagine, you will remember this evening. You will remember this feeling. You will remember that hope quietly replaced uncertainty before you closed your eyes. And perhaps you will smile, knowing that the message your soulmate wanted you to know before you slept was never just about the future. It was about tonight. About this very moment. About choosing peace over worry. Confidence over doubt. Possibility over fear. So let the night hold your dreams. Let tomorrow reveal its gifts in its own perfect way. And when the morning light touches your window, welcome it with an open heart. Because every sunrise carries a new beginning. And every new beginning carries the chance to become the most meaningful chapter of your story yet. And now, we have arrived at the final moments of this journey together. But before these words become part of your memory, there is one last message that deserves your full attention. It is not meant to create urgency. It is meant to leave your heart lighter than it was when this story began. Look around you. The night has remained patient through every word. It never asked you to hurry. It never demanded that you solve every mystery before morning. Instead, it quietly reminded you that some answers reveal themselves only after we learn to rest instead of resist. Perhaps that is the greatest gift your soulmate wanted to give you tonight. Not certainty, but peace. Imagine that, somewhere in the future, you are looking back on this very evening. You remember the silence. You remember the hope. You remember choosing to believe that your story was still unfolding. And suddenly you realize something extraordinary. The moment that changed your life was not the day everything happened. It was the night you stopped believing that nothing could. That single decision changed the direction of your heart. Your soulmate would smile if they knew you had reached this point. Because they would want you to carry one promise into every tomorrow. Never let temporary uncertainty convince you that your permanent future cannot be beautiful. Those words are worth remembering. Life is filled with chapters that seem ordinary while we are living them. Only later do we discover they were preparing us for something unforgettable. Every lesson. Every unexpected delay. Every quiet victory. Every moment you chose hope over doubt. They have all been building a stronger version of you. And that version of you is ready for the next chapter. Stay with me for these final moments. Close your eyes for just a second and imagine tomorrow greeting you with fresh possibilities. Imagine smiling before checking the time. Imagine beginning your day with gratitude instead of worry. Imagine walking through ordinary moments with extraordinary expectation. That is where real transformation begins. Not in dramatic predictions, but in daily decisions. In choosing kindness again. In believing again. In dreaming again. In refusing to let yesterday decide what tomorrow is allowed to become. And perhaps, That has been the hidden message all along. Your soulmate did not want you to spend tonight searching for signs. They wanted you to become one. A sign of hope. A source of encouragement. A person whose calm confidence inspires everyone they meet. Because the brightest people are not always those who have every answer. They are the ones who continue shining while the answers are still on their way. Before this story gently comes to an end, thank yourself for staying until this moment. You gave yourself permission to pause. To reflect. To imagine something greater than your current circumstances. That alone is powerful. And if this journey spoke to your heart, consider sharing it with someone who may need these words before they sleep tonight. I'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if stories like this bring you peace and encouragement, subscribing is a wonderful way to continue this journey together. Now the night is ready to carry your dreams. The stars will keep their silent watch. Morning will arrive exactly when it is meant to. And when it does, rise with confidence. Walk with gratitude. Speak with kindness. Live with purpose. Because the message your soulmate wanted you to know before you slept tonight was never simply about finding love. It was about discovering the quiet strength already living inside your own heart. Sleep peacefully. Wake expectantly. And remember, the most beautiful chapters are often the ones you never saw coming, until the moment you were finally ready to live them. The end.